In tonight's update, a suspect is in custody in connection with a string of area burglaries. Hansville Water and Sewer Board knocks down a Mud Creek dam, and could a violent sex offender be hiding out in your neighborhood? All this and more coming up.
From the Times News Center in downtown Cullman, Alabama, this is The Update. With Karen Williamson, Brittany Woodby, and Noah Chandler in news, Brandon Shields and Justin Graves in sports, and Carolyn Arrington in lifestyles. This edition of The Update is brought to you by Cullman Regional Medical Center. Close to home is good medicine.
Today is August 27th, 2007. I'm Brittany Woodby. Thank you so much for joining us. In breaking news, authorities arrested a 23-year-old man in possession of 21 pounds of marijuana. The Cullman Narcotics Enforcement Team served a search warrant to Milton Lopez Ahumada at his residence on County Road 1518. In addition to the marijuana, the team confiscated 2 guns and various drug paraphernalia. Ahumada is being held on $1 million bond at the Cullman County Detention Center. A Fort Payne man is in custody tonight as a suspect in several local burglaries. Cullman County deputies arrested 22-year-old Terry Eugene Edwards in connection with residential burglaries in the Logan and Bethel communities, where Edwards was living. He is currently charged with 2 counts of burglary, though Sheriff Tyler Roden said Edwards is a suspect in a 3rd burglary. He is being held in the Cullman County Detention Center on a $10,000 bond. The Cullman County Sheriff's Department is also asking for your help in locating a wanted violent sex offender. 22-year-old Timothy Ray Woods Jr. is wanted in California for probation violation and has recently located to Cullman. Sheriff's deputies went to Woods' home in the Gold Ridge community Thursday evening and spoke with Woods' father, Timothy Ray Woods Sr. Deputies searched the residence and believe Woods Jr. may have escaped through a trap door in the floor. Sheriff Tyler Roden said he believes Woods is still in the area and advises anyone who knows of his whereabouts to call 911. Cullman County Circuit Judge Frank Bruner sentenced a Cullman man this morning to 2 life sentences and 2 99-year sentences with no chance for parole for counts of sodomy involving minors. 46-year-old Ronald Brown of Cullman was convicted in June for sex crimes against an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. The mystery behind a string of vandalism at the CSX train depot in downtown Cullman is one step closer to being solved. 44-year-old Lisa Barnett was arrested last week after Cullman police searched her home and found evidence she painted the graffiti on the building and on CSX employees' cars. Police said Barnett confessed to doing the vandalism on 3 separate occasions, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage. She is charged with first-degree criminal mischief and was released on bond. A fuel tanker explosion on U.S. Highway 157 last week is still being investigated by the Alabama State Troopers. The accident occurred Thursday evening at the intersection of 157 and County Road 1242. Witnesses claim the driver of the Jet Pep fuel tanker ignored a stoplight and hit another car crossing in the median. The tanker burst into flames several hundred feet from the accident. No one was injured. Vinemont Providence Volunteer Fire Department, Battleground Volunteer Fire Department, and West Point Volunteer Fire Department responded. The Hansville Water and Sewer Board tore down a dam at Mud Creek it built almost 2 years ago after declining to obtain a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. Karen Williamson has the story.
An unauthorized dam has been removed from Mud Creek in Hansville. The Hansville Sewer and Water Board built the dam about 2 years ago, but it never obtained a permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to erect the dam. Sally Alexander, who is a co-manager of the Sewer and Water Board, wanted to have a catch basin in place if the wastewater treatment plant ever failed.
The Army Corps of Engineers has requested that we go ahead and take the berm out of this portion of the creek so that there'll be free flow on this side also. The berm was actually put in there originally as a protection device, a preventative device, so that if we experience mechanical failure for any reason at our wastewater treatment plant, it would be caught right here and we could contain it.
James Lucan with the Alabama Department of Environmental Management was on hand to make sure the dam was removed and to supervise the cleanup. He said the sewage from the treatment plant had in fact leached into the catch basin. Did they have legal authority to put in that dam?
From my understanding, that's why the dam is being removed, is because the dam should not have been put into that creek from the first place.
Representatives from Black Warrior Riverkeeper and the Alabama Department of Environmental Management took water samples at the site and said they will have results later this week. A local center for sexual abuse victims recently celebrated its 10-year anniversary. Noah Chandler reports.
10 years ago, Brooks Place was started by then District Attorney Lynn Brooks. Susan Martin Hawk, the current Brooks Place director, recently celebrated the 10th anniversary of the center's opening. She explained how the layout of the center can help local sexual abuse victims feel more comfortable.
The whole purpose is to make it a place that's comfortable for kids, as opposed to having them to take them to the cinder block sheriff's office where people are walking around with guns and badges. And the location for this place was good for the advocacy center because it's kind of right in the middle of town, close to the schools, easy access to the courthouse, DHR, sheriff's office, police department, all the multidisciplinary team members that play a role here.
More than 1,700 sexual abuse victims have received services through Brooks Place. One of them was Angela Basinger, a 21-year-old Hanceville resident.
I think the importance of it is that it's a safe place for kids to come and not feel pressured about what they need to say or how they need to say it, and they can express themselves freely. I think it's important for the community to know it's here so that, for one, they can get kids in here that need the help, and just to pretty much support it and know that there is a place for kids to go and that there should be more than just one.
I'm Noah Chandler reporting for CullmanTimes.com.
Though the center celebrated its anniversary last weekend, this Saturday will mark the 10th year the center has served the community. Holly Pond residents took time out Saturday to reflect on the community's past at the annual Founders Day. Here's Karen Williamson with more.
Holly Pond held its Founders Day Saturday. About 100 people came out for the event. The president of the Historical Society, Robin Henderson, explained the Historical Society's role in Founders Day.
Okay, our purpose here today is to hopefully collect additional information that we haven't already collected. We're here to scan pictures of the early settlers. We've asked people to bring in pictures prior to 1960. Which will give us a lot of history of the town. We ask people to bring in pictures of the families, people actually doing things like pulling corn, shelling corn, picking cotton, working in the fields, milking cows, cutting syrup cane, and those kinds of things.
This is Karen Williamson reporting for CullmanTimes.com.
If you would like to contribute information about Holly Pond's founders, you can get in touch with Robin Henderson of the Holly Pond Historical Society at 796-5888. Football is officially here. Many area high schools kicked off the season Thursday and Friday nights with jamboree games. Here's Justin Graves with the latest in sports.
Local high school football teams got their first live dress rehearsals this past weekend, with 12 of the 13 Cullman area teams taking the field in jamborees. On Thursday night, Cullman hosted Austin out of Decatur. Even though the game ended in a 14-14 tie, the Bearcats varsity squad looked impressive while carrying a 14-7 lead into halftime. While Cullman's offensive unit moved the chain successfully all night, it was the Bearcats' defense that really stood out. With a bend but not break mentality, Cullman forced Austin to punt on every offensive series but one. If anyone had any questions about whether Good Hope could follow up on last season's success, then the Raiders put those questions to rest Friday night. Good Hope rolled up over 400 yards of offense in a 35-0 win over Cold Springs. In other high school football action, Fairview fell to Arab 19-13. Holly Pond beat Crossville 28-21. Addison edged Parish 13-12. And Winston County beat Meek 28-7. Also in the J.B. Pennington Jamboree, the Tigers won 2 halves while Hanceville dropped a pair. Now that dress rehearsals are finished, it's time for our local teams to get ready for their season openers this week. On Thursday, Cullman travels to Hanceville, Pennington will host Susan Moore, and West Point will travel to Good Hope. On Friday night, Cold Springs will host Meek, Holly Pond will travel to West Limestone, Addison will host R.A. Hubbard, Faultville will travel to Danville, and St. Bernard will travel to Appalachian. Also on Friday night, Fairview will host Vinemont in the Cullman Times Game of the Week.
For the latest scores and schedules, check the daily print edition of the Cullman Times or visit the sports page on CullmanTimes.com. Also, don't forget to come by the Times office and pick up a copy of this year's Football Fever preseason special. That's all for this week's update. Be sure to join us next Monday at 5 p.m. We're going to leave you now with some scenes from last week's Taste of Cullman United Way fundraiser. I'm Brittany Woodby, and thanks for watching.